Who were they?
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 August 1st, 1914. 4 days after Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, two more great European powers, Russia and Germany, declare war on each other. This same day, France orders a general mobilization.
The same day, France urged Great Britain to declare its support. A divided British government declined to do so initially, but events soon changed that when 2 days later, August 3rd, France and Germany declared war against each other. Germany invaded Belgium, which prompted Great Britain to declare war on Germany.
The people of Europe greeted the outbreak of war with jubilation. The great majority of people, both civilians and government alike, assumed that their country, whichever side they were on, would be victorious within a matter of months.
However, by the end of 1914, and with well over 1 million soldiers of all nationalities having been killed on the European battlefields, and with no sign of victory, the mood changed both within the nations and in the trenches, and the people battened down the hatches both within their homes and in the trenches for a long, terrible war.
The so-called Great War that followed would be the most devastating in terms of destruction and loss of life, and resulted in the deaths of some 20 million soldiers and civilians, and the physical devastation of much of the European continent.
Who were they?
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 In those hot and dusty days of August 1914, the war started badly for the British. They were being driven back by a relentless German advance. Tales were told of extraordinary sights, including a force of phantoms armed with bows and arrows and led by a towering figure on white horseback, so shiny it glistened among the dust in the air, who spurred on the British during an assault on the German trenches.
Another story spoke of 3 angelic-style beings seen by the British in the air over the German lines, proving to be an inspiration for the British to keep going. Few who fought at Mons survived the war, and those who did tended to never speak of it. Nothing was ever written down or chronicled.
In spite of this, diaries of the time show that by the end of 1915, the British had accepted that some kind of supernatural event had taken place. Even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes stories, said, "The more bizarre a thing is, the less mysterious it proves to be."
What were the alternatives to the phantom being suggestions?
The weather? The August heat was stifling with extreme sunshine, with no mention anywhere of unusual cloud formations.
The British Flying Corps, the forerunner to the Royal Air Force, was flying over and behind the enemy lines, locating batteries and looking for enemy movement. The sight of the aircraft provided a feeling of security, so people believe it is doubtful that aircraft could be confused for flying beings.
Religion.
Nowhere is it recorded that the troops at Mons undertook any type of worship, despite everything else they did being recorded. Local people from the villages were seen going to church, but that is the only mention of religion.
Conan Doyle noted that the men appeared to be in excellent spirits, singing from one end of the line to the other.
Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile.
The deep trenches of later in the war had not been used in the early days, which allowed the men to stargaze, so it is unlikely that they would spend much time looking upwards. The morale was high after they stopped the German advance, and when they were ordered to retreat later on, they were apparently much disappointed.
However, when the fighting resumed the next day, the situation turned, and so began a fierce battle which would be known as the retreat from Mons. Whoever the beings were, surely for all the young men and women who fought during that destructive war, nothing is truer than the wording on the plaque that is on display at York Minster reflecting the conflict. They went through the air and space without fear, and their shining stars marked their shining deeds.
The stories of the supernatural beings stayed with the people of Great Britain and the soldiers during World War I. Even on the final day of the war, November 11th, 1918, the stories remained fresh in people's minds, and they began to wonder,
Who were they?
If these sightings were of angels, we know that the angels would have wanted one thing: peace. And their message today, in 2018, 100 years after that terrible war, would be the same: peace at last.
Watching the bodies as they were flung, while